Frank Morales, Mr. Frank Morales with Huntsville Service Center. How are you?
Just fine. How are you doing this morning?
Doing great. And you know, it's not a shame you're a regular, because obviously there's a lot of stuff going on in the world today. Job security for you, I may say, but not in a good way.
Not in a good way.
It keeps your hands full, I'm sure. You know, you've dealt with the families of many people that have been through anger management, divorce, things like that. Today we're going to talk about a topic of respect and entitlement.
Right.
Two big words.
Well, it used to be that when you heard the word respect, it meant a certain thing. Now, as I try to tell people, respect is one of those words you should almost cringe when you hear it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when we're in class, and when we're in domestic violence, the perpetrator classes, or I hear it even in anger management, someone says the word respect, we cringe because it has a complete different meaning. When a lot of people were growing up and you heard the word respect, it dealt with what you dealt with people that were, you know, adults and authority figures, and it was what you gave to them.
Respect your elders. There was no, don't talk back, don't do any of that.
Right. And those rules were pretty clear. Wherever you grew up, it was always the same. But now, when you hear those words, it has a complete different meaning. And here's how you hear it now. It's like, you're gonna respect me. And now, that tends to lead to other situations where people feel like you're disrespecting me, and that disrespecting me usually equals to violence.
This generation, Frank, do you think things have changed so much to where, you show me I can respect you first before I respect you? Right.
It's not a matter of what the generation wants now is, they don't think that the authority figures deserve respect. They think that you have to give them respect first, and they have to earn your respect. So as a result, what happens a lot of times, and with this new set of parameters, is that first of all, they feel easily disrespected. And like in the old days, whereas you knew what respect meant, you don't know anymore because everybody has their own list of it. That's why you can step on someone's shoes and all of a sudden that means disrespect. Like the Denver Bronco football player that was killed, the whole problem there was that he was in a club and some champagne spray went on to this person, and he felt disrespected by that. A baseball player signs with a new team, and he's a player that plays really well, but he's been a player for 10 years, but he's been on 8 different teams, and his first thing says, well, I really like this team, but as long as I'm respected, I'll be okay.
But as long as, like sense of entitlement, they're owed that rather than earning it.
And even the word entitlement, and what we talk about with that is, entitlement used to be a benefit, but now it's something that somebody feels that they're owed. And a lot of people right now don't feel that you have to do anything. You just owe me this.
It's expected.
It is expected.
How are parents, do you think, helping this problem escalate, and by the time you have teenagers, their hands are out, they're expecting it? We kind of create this problem. How can new parents, if they're watching and they have young children, what are the best ways to make those boundaries clear?
First of all, you have to teach self-responsibility. If you make excuses for your child the whole time, then that's what you're going to see in an adult. And it's very clear when someone doesn't take responsibility for any of their behaviors. Even right now when we see things going on, there's several instances where the parents rush to the children's aid, make sure even when something is drastically done wrong, they're making sure that their child is, oh no, they're not responsible for anything, and they're blaming somebody else for that. We see that in adult behavior right now, and you can tell where someone has never taken any personal responsibility for their own behavior. What the other thing is if you constantly reward someone for bad behavior just so that they'll be okay, you normalize this something for nothing behavior.
So you're just escalating, you're just allowing it to continue. It's going to continue to escalate, and not in a good way. Over
and over and over again. When we see things that are happening in the news and things like that, you look at what happens when people we talk about people coming into new jobs and they expect to get like a huge salary, but they have no prior experience. And this is what people who have been working there for a while say, well, that's not reality. Right. But we're not teaching reality anymore. We're teaching that you sit up there and should expect the best for not doing anything.
Everyone wants a management position these days, don't they?
Everybody wants a management position. And it's just like we have kids now that make demands of their parents, and they want the best of everything, regardless of their parents' financial positions. We have parents struggling to get their kids every single thing that they can when they really financially can't do it. This is even part of our credit risk problems that we have now. When we talk about how many people have gone off and sat up there and got themselves in a huge credit positions because of the fact that they've overdone it every time, because they think stuff equals love.
And that's probably the number one thing we can say. Stuff does not equal love in the world of so many divorced parents these days. And that is probably the world's worst thing that maybe dads do, because they don't see their children enough. So they think, well, let's just buy them something to keep them happy for a weekend. But it's just so dangerous. In
divorce situations, when you see people who are separated, especially at Christmas, you watch sometimes both sets of parents overdo it because of guilt. And sometimes you see kids that they understand that dynamic and they play that off very well.
Oh, they're pros.
Yes.
They're really good. I was looking through some of your notes in there, and there was a comment about a lady watching a judge's show, and she said a lady was suing her son for $4,000 for payment of credit card bills. Well, he's like, well, you owed me this because the last car you got me was a piece of junk, you know.
Right.
Obviously a change of words there, but we've gone through that same situation, but what do the parents do? They turn around and go get them another vehicle.
Right, well, and that's what happened. Even when you saw, I think it was Michael Douglas was in the news with his son recently, and his son was blaming all his problems with drugs and on his parents because they gave him too much. And so as a result, now it's their fault that they gave him too much, and that's why he is the way they are. Once again, it's still pointing the finger to say it's their fault. I'm not taking any personal responsibility.
One thing let's touch briefly on: a gun in school leads to 2 students' arrest yesterday. Whitesburg Middle School, gun was found. Luckily, it was unloaded. No one was injured, but 2 children were arrested for that. I heard something on the news this morning talking about always wanting to blame someone else, blaming Huntsville City Schools for not doing their job. When are parents going to step up and do your job? If there's a gun missing from the house, you should know it.
Well, that's the problem. See, once again, we're shifting all the responsibility of children and to the school system. There's hardly any way that you're going to stop guns from coming in. You can put the metal detectors there, but the guns will be on the bus. The guns will be on however they were transported there. Yes, you have to do that. Even the week before when we had the Sparkman incident and before this. But here's the one thing that did come out good of that. We had, once again, students telling. People were telling what was going on. Now, what we do need to have is to make sure that we have a zero tolerance. And we don't need to have it that they're just expelled from school. People need to go to jail. People need, if they start rumors, they need to go to jail. We need to have the same type of policy you have for the airport. When we first started at the airport, people used to make jokes about the airport and, oh, there's a bomb and all this, until they found out there was zero tolerance. People don't make jokes at the airport when you're in line anymore. People know exactly what you have to do, and they have that kind of situation. But that's what it takes for that. And it takes everybody taking their own responsibility for their children.
It sure does. We need to, I mean, all parents need to do that more, because this is completely getting out of hand, especially since it's hitting home so much. And what, every Friday?
Yes.
Seems like there's something going on. You have something in your hand. Want to say you sell those there?
Right. Well, this is one of our books that we offer over there. It's called Tips for Managing Anger. And in this, it talks about some different situations that you go through, and also it has some tips for managing those. It's one of the things that's offered through Anderson Services, one of the books that they produce out of Los Angeles, and we do sell those there. We are an Anderson provider.
Great.
So they're offered there, and along with several other books that we have.
Wonderful. Well, Frank, thank you again for a wonderful segment. I'm sorry there's so much violence in the news, but we need you up here to remind people what to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.